to a quick tutorial on how to use the Cellular Automata Playground. I'm Jimmy Rogers, the author of this. So basically, we have a grid. Currently, the grid is 201 by 135 based on my screen size. It automatically resizes, and they're 8 pixels each. So by default, there's nothing that happens. If I hit play or pause or step, like nothing's going to happen because we haven't loaded any cellular automata into the grid. So there's a couple of things that we can do. We can, one, randomize the grid. So we can just generate random of any amount. Um, but this is useful for seeding some cellular automata like the game of life and other things like that. But there's other ways of generating this type of stuff. We can also clear to get rid of anything that's in there. That clears off any ants, termites, etc. that you might have. So I'll just go through this real quick. Cell size is the size of the cells in pixels. So we currently have a default set of 8. If we increase or decrease this down to 4, that quadruples our area. So if I decrease it again down to 2, you can see how it once again quadrupled our area. Keep in mind, this will allow you to go down to a single pixel, but your computer may not be able to run that. So I recommend sticking with something like 4 to 8. Um, for this demonstration, I'm going to stick to 8 because it's easy to see and it doesn't mess with the YouTube encoding as much. So updates per second is what it sounds like. It's how many times the grid will update per second. Since there's no automata loaded, the grid doesn't do anything. Um, Edges, it's what happens when an automata hits an edge. Does it wrap? Does it bounce off the edge or does it fall off? By default, it's set to wrap. We can set the color of the alive or dead pixels. So if we wanted a red game of life or a green game of life, easy enough to do. You can also change the background color if you really wanted something contrasty, but black is pretty good. Um, yeah. So beyond that, there's export, which will export a screenshot of whatever you're doing. We don't need to demonstrate that now. Wolfram, it's our first cellular automata. So Wolfram has a series of rules from 0 to 255 that covers every possible combination of bits from the top or bottom row, from the top row downward propagating. You get interesting patterns. So the easiest way to get this started is if I hit center dot and then I hit fill screen, and bam, there we go. We have a Wolfram alpha set. We can also seed the top row randomly and fill screen, and you'll see you get a totally different pattern. If you want to fill this whole screen, or if you want to get your triangles or your Sierpinski triangles, et cetera, they're all in here in the Wolfram set. So you can also do center dot auto step, where we're just going to do one step at a time. So you can see what happens if we're doing one step at a time. If we hit auto and then I hit play, this is our first cellular automata affecting the grid. And it's just going to continue to play as long as it goes. So it's going to hit the bottom and then it's just going to wrap right around and go to the top. So because we have wrap turned on, we don't have edge falling off or anything like that. So it's just going to keep wrapping. So we'll stop and we'll leave that pattern there. All right. So actually, let's go back to grid and clear. That's it for Wolfram. There's different rules. So that's rule 31, rule 32. Oh, 32 is nothing. Center dot fill screen. You can see you get pretty wildly different patterns depending on like what it is. So Wolfram sets are great for seeding other things like the game of life, etc. So once again, let's clear it. And we'll close out the Wolfram set. Langton's Ant. It's one of my personal favorites. Um, we're just going to spawn one ant. This is the spawn color here. You can change that. Um, this is the steps per second. And we can auto step it or we can manually step it. It's almost Christmas colors with the red ant running on the green background. Or we can auto and hit play and just let Langton's ant run. So the fun thing about this is not just having one, but let's add 10 more. Bam. See, we already have two interacting with each other in interesting ways. So we can have a ton of these. Langton's ant eventually um, goes to a stable highway pattern where it builds these little highways that run around on the screen. I'm not going to run it that long because it takes quite a while to get there. But yeah, that's it. So let's go ahead and clear our ants. Auto, turn that off. Our game will pause. Termite. It's basically Langton's ant with other rules. So if you want to do a different style, like Langton's ant is this RL, but LR is the opposite. You can auto step that. And you'll notice it's doing a very similar pattern, but it's just doing it in reverse. So there's different termite rules. You can look those up. Termite's pretty fun. Yeah, we'll pause that. Grid, we'll go ahead and clear. Game of Life. This one's pretty popular. Let's go to a Wolfram set and center dot, fill screen, fill screen. There we go. So I'm just giving it anything for Game of Life because all we got to do is hit step and right away it's going to start doing something interesting. Gonna hit auto, let it auto step. Yeah, so Game of Life. Now, the fun thing that's about this grid is if you have something like Game of Life, it'll eventually get to a lot of static patterns like this. Throw a few ants on top. It's great. Autos, turn those on. Huh, that's interesting. Well, I'm going to clear. All right, close some of these down. Day and night is similar to Game of Life, but it's a little different. Center dot, fill screen. One center dot, fill screen. Oh, okay. Oh, I see what's going on. Sorry, I had it running. So there we go. Boom. Now we got that. Day and night, let's turn that auto and let's hit play for that. Day and night does a very similar thing to Game of Life, and you'll notice it kind of dies away pretty quickly. Um, but you can get to some fun stable patterns and other things like that. Seeds has oh, this will be good for seeds to start. So it grows from small things into larger things. So if we auto step this one, you'll see it growing into like these patterns. But it also died. Lots of cellular automata die like that. And then last but not least, the falling sands. This one doesn't really affect the other ones in the same way. It's got its own thing going on, but it's pretty good. So we're going to hit auto and then we're just going to drop 1,000 grains of sand. Oh, we got to hit play. And there we go. We've got the sand pile cellular automata running. And that was 1,000 grains. We can drop another one. And there we go. So that's just a quick overview of some of the features of this program, and hopefully I'll build out some more if there's community support for it. I might actually like do something with this and have like an official release, but for now it's a fun toy to play with on Itch. So I hope this was informative for folks and have fun.